Tell me if this sounds like you. You are in your office, you're working away, and things are going good. You're drafting, and then you hit a snag. You have a question. You're like, my goodness, I wonder what I should do about this. Or let's say you're thinking about your business and it's a CEO day and you're working on the business and you're thinking about the growth, and you say, man, this is an idea that I have, but I wonder what am I missing, or am I thinking of all of the different aspects? And you wish that you could just pop over and talk to your partner about it, but you don't have a partner. Or you wish that you can bring it to your associate, but you already know that that's not in their capacity, their wheelhouse. That's not what they do for the firm. And so for you as the CEO, you can feel isolated and you can feel by yourself when you're trying to make decisions for your firm, for the growth, and even just decisions when it comes to client matters. And you're like, I really wish I had a peer or someone that I could speak to and have confidence that they're going to tell me something that is to protect me and to help me and to help grow my firm. That's what a CEO room does for you. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So, welcome to the Attorney CheatCode Podcast. My name is Alicia Jones, and if you have been here before, then you already know what it is. But if this is your first time, then welcome. This is the place where we're going to give you tools to fast track your way to profitable firm ownership, not just for sakes of having a law firm, but so that you can have a firm to create the life of your dreams. I am a Texas-based attorney, but I am here to help attorneys all over the country succeed and grow profitable law firms. So let's get into it. Okay, I hear you. You're like, a CEO room, where is that? What is that? Because I just casually mentioned it, right? Like, yeah, get your CEO room. So nonetheless, a CEO room is where you're able to get into a room with other CEOs to pressure test your idea, your decision that you've made or the decision that you're working on. Is going to compress the time for you, and we'll talk about each of these. And it's also going to be a place of accountability for you. So if you think about when you are working as a CEO, especially as a firm owner, we are working in isolation a lot of the time. And we're building our firm and we have our people that are working for us, but we don't necessarily want to bring them into the business decision making because that is not their role with the firm. So then you have to have a space outside of your firm where you can have a think tank, or a group of like-minded individuals where you can come in with your decision that you're trying to make and say, hey, this is what I have and I need to go through this with someone. Because when you are working in isolation, then you are prone to make errors because we're human. Not because you're not good enough, not because you don't know enough, but because you are limited. We are each limited in our capacity. And so when you're working by yourself, when you're working by yourself, you may make errors. And then your error is just going to lead to lost time. And then your lost time leads to lost money and lost revenue. And that is just the hard way of doing things. You don't have to do that anymore. So what I'm trying to tell you is that, coming alongside other people, it is not just for your benefit. So you're not coming into a CEO room and you're not creating a safe space of peers just for yourself, but you're creating that so that you can also help someone else. It's a give and take. It's an exchange of information, an exchange of ideas so that you can bring in whatever is on your mind and say, hey, to this group, hey, this is what I'm thinking of, So, like I said, I'm a Texas attorney, and there are a lot of groups around Texas, and I know they're elsewhere, and they will bring in professionals, and they claim to work together to build each other's businesses. And I've heard the good, I've heard the bad, and I've experienced the good and I've experienced the bad. What I have seen, though, from my own experience is you come into this room, and for this particular group, you are the only one in your industry so that there's no competition in the room. So there is one attorney that does trust, for instance. There's one attorney that does family law, and we don't cross paths. We don't take each other's referrals. There's a real estate person. There's an insurance person. There's a teacher. There's a pet shop owner. And you have each of these people in the room, and you're supposed to work together to make decisions. My experience was not like that. I'm going to just keep it a buck. When I got into the room, I was the only attorney. And at that point, I did probate, I did legacy planning, and I did family law. and I received zero referrals for an entire year of being committed to it, because I came in, I said, I'm going to commit, I'm going to help. And I did. It was a small group, maybe like 12 of us in the group, and we would meet weekly, every other week, something like that. And we'd come into the room and we say, hey, well, this is what we're working on, or I have a referral for such and such. And you would just kind of see that depending on when you got in the room determined whether you even got a referral. So I came into the room as like number 11 or 12 of the group. And because that, a lot of these business owners already had attorneys, so they didn't even try to send work my way. And so it was, paying to be in a room where I didn't even feel comfortable sharing ideas about my business. There was really no space for me to share those ideas where I felt like I would receive like good support, because you come in and you watch it in the room. And so what I thought about, and what I have been intentional to do after that, is I will create my own space. I will create my own room of like-minded, helpful individuals, CEOs, firm owners specifically, that want to grow, that are not crabs in a barrel, that want to help others to grow, that are forward thinking, that are out of the box type of thinking. I heard a girl say this the other day: get out of the box, because that box is full. So just out of the box thinking ahead. Where's the law going to be in 5 years? How can we get there today so that we are staying ahead of the game, so that we are thought leaders in our industry, so that we are providing services to our clients in a forward thinking way? But if you don't have that, if you don't have that space, that room, then you are working in isolation. And so that's what I mean when I say that it can cause errors, because you don't have anyone to bounce that idea off of. And then, of course, the errors lead to lost time, and lost time leads to lost money, lost revenue. And now you can be frustrated as a CEO, as the firm owner, because you're like, I'm working, I'm doing things, but I'm not seeing the return on my investment on the back end. And a lot of that is just the isolation. We are not called to be in isolation. We are not called to be islands. We are not called to walk this path alone. No, I'm not telling you that you have to tell everybody your business. You definitely have to have some discernment and some wisdom around that. What I am saying is that a CEO room, the right CEO room, is going to help strengthen you. And then what you're doing when you come into that CEO room, as you gain strength from the people that are there, you're also, like I said before, you're giving that strength. And what you're doing for each other is you're compressing time. One of the things is you come in and you're like, okay, this is my idea. This is the thing that I'm considering for my firm. This is the move that I want to make. And instead of you taking the next 3 months to think about that, let's spend the next 30 minutes and let's each bring in our own ideas. Let's hear from you what you have going on. And we're going to give you our ideas about what you have said, so that you can have a bit more clarity as you walk away from this CEO room, because that's the point of it. You want to come in with an issue, you want to come in with a decision that you want to make, but you want to walk away with clarity. And think about that. Think about a room of 6 to 10 other firm owners, not just industry people. That's great for referrals if it works out well, and that's great for getting your name out there and networking. But when you are trying to build your business, and your business is specifically a law firm, there are a lot of nuances. There are a lot of ethics that we have to be mindful of when we're thinking about how we grow. So having other CEO firm owners in the room, and you bring in your decision, and you're like, this is what I'm thinking about. And now each of us is going to bring in our experiences, our ideas, and we're going to help you grow that. And we're going to talk through it. So now we've compressed that 3 months of time that you were going to spend with you and Chad talking it out and going through it when you have some extra time, because you know how life works. You're going to work, and then you'll come back to the idea next week. But we're going to compress that time from 3 months into 30 minutes. And we're going to go through an analysis, and we're going to say, this is what that looks like. These are some of the things that maybe you didn't think about. Because what you also do is, when you're compressing time, because you're going to take that issue through a pressure test. And that pressure test is going to come from the other individuals in the room, where they're going to say, well, have you considered this? Or what does this look like? So what you do is you're going to bring in your facts, not your emotions. You're going to bring in your facts. So what are the facts around this particular issue? What are the facts around this particular decision? This is where I am. And then the next thing you need to know is your numbers. What are my numbers that are connected to the decision that I am going to make, or the decision that I'm working through making? And like I said, you're compressing time. So that 3 months of worrying and thinking and going over and mulling over and going around the mulberry bush has now been compressed into 30 minutes. Let me give you an example. So this is what I call a strategic peer accountability, because that's the third point of it. Is you're now accountable for what you say you're going to do, and now you're coming back to the group to say, okay, this is what I did, and this is where I am now, and that is going to help you to keep the momentum. So for an example, let's say you want to hire and you're thinking about hiring your first paralegal, your first hire. Let's say it's your first hire on one end, and on the other end, you're like, I just need a senior paralegal. I need somebody in this position. And you're thinking out of desperation. You're thinking out of the frustration. You're thinking about how it feels for you day to day to not have this position filled, how it feels for you to not have that buffer between you and client when it comes to those drafts, how you're having to draft from start to finish, but that's not what you want to do, how you're not able to have that position, really that arm, which is a paralegal, they're an arm of the attorney to provide legal services to the client. So you're missing that arm. And so these are your facts. Now you need to know your numbers. What is the cost of having and not having that person? When you think about having them, what is their salary? What are the taxes that are associated with this position? Are they going to be 1099 or W-2? Are they going to be full-time or part-time? Are they going to be remote? Are they going to be in-house? All of those things factor into the cost of hiring that position. Where are you going to hire? Are you going to have a headhunter? Are you going to use Wise Hire, LinkedIn? Are you going to use Indeed? I think is Monster.com still out there? I don't know. Showing my age. So what platform are you going to use? What method? And all of that is also a cost that goes into hiring. Hiring someone is a full-time job. It can definitely feel that way. So the better you're able to streamline the process, then that's going to be better for you. So when you're thinking about that strategic growth, right? So you come in with your facts, you come in with those costs that you have been able to ascertain, and you put it to the pressure test with the other CEOs. And what's going to immediately happen? Someone is going to say, oh, I just hired, or I've hired this position before, or I have a protocol that I follow, and dot, bop, 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 bop. This is what I've done. Have you considered doing it this way? Have you considered, going to this place because they have a good pool of paralegals over here? Or maybe, I just heard about a paralegal that was looking for a position and they're looking for that exact thing. Let me send them over to you. I interviewed them for my firm, but they didn't really work for me. So let me send them to you because they're a good candidate, just not a fit for what I have. Whatever. God can work anything out. He does work in mysterious ways that we can't even understand. So you come into this room and you put it through the pressure test and you say, hey, I want to hire this person next week. And then the other question is, well, what are those numbers? Can you pay for this person next week? If you don't have any other income for the next 5 weeks, are you still able to carry this person's payroll? Because it is irresponsible and selfish to bring someone into your firm knowing you can't pay them. And then, they do all this work and God forbid, they put 3 weeks in the hole, and then they get to that third week waiting for a paycheck, and you're like, oh, I'm going to need a couple more days. That's selfish. Don't do that. Do not do that. So know your numbers. Know what the actual cost is to hire that position so that you can set aside that money from every dollar that comes in. You're setting aside a percentage of that to make sure that you can hire well. Because if you're trying to hire that senior paralegal, you already know you're going to have to pay a little bit more, and they're going to want full-time hours. So you have to calculate all of that in. And how can I provide flexibility? Am I providing any type of benefits? Are there medical benefits? Is there, health insurance, vision insurance, life insurance, dental insurance? Am I providing any of that? Some 401k? Am I matching? All of these things have to go into play when you're thinking about the cost. And that's what's going to happen in that pressure test with other CEOs, because you have people in the room that have different levels of experience, whether being a firm owner or some prior life experience, whatever they did before they were a firm owner. And now you're able to bring all of that into the room, and you're able to share, and now you're able to receive. And now you can walk out of that room with accountability, one, and with clarity. You can walk out knowing, okay, this is what I'm going to hire. This is what I need to do in the interim. And this is my deadline. This is the goal date that I'm looking at to hire that person. Another example that you may think about is pricing. And this is a huge one. One of the things that people don't know, and it's different, right? Is pricing. How do I price my services? What cost should I have my services at? Am I value based? Am I retainer based? Am I flat fee? Is it contingent? Can I be contingent? Because here in Texas, you can't be contingent with family law cases. So, what are the parameters around the area of law that I'm in? Am I capped at a certain fee based upon the service that I'm providing? All of those things are necessary. So, you come in with your facts. These are the facts that I need to price. These are the services that I am offering. This is the area of practice that I'm in. This is the county that I'm in, because that also plays a part. You are going to have smaller county attorneys that it may be beneficial for them to lower fees because of the small county, versus if you come to a huge county like Harris County and the fees are a bit higher because it's more dense and more populated. All of these are facts that you have to take into account. So you have that, and then you bring in your numbers. What are your numbers right now? And then what is the cost of not changing your numbers? What is the cost of actually changing them? Are you changing them just because you feel like it and you looked over to the left and saw somebody else's fee sheet and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to take mine up to that. I mean, okay, but is that the best thing for you to do? Are you providing services in line with the fee that you are actually charging people? Or will people come to you and think that you have underpriced yourself and you don't know what you're doing because you are $125 an hour and everybody else in the industry is $350 an hour? Maybe, maybe not. But that's something for you to know. And those are the numbers that you're looking at. Here are my numbers now. And if I don't improve, then here is the issue with my profit margin. This is where I can lose money. This is where I can afford to make more money. Now I can set aside more for profit and for savings and the other goals that you have for the firm. What you do, you bring that into your pressure test. You have a room of CEOs that are saying, hey, we are here together. We're building together because there is more than enough work out here for all of us. So that you will come together, and now you're going to receive feedback from other CEOs about your pricing. You're going to get some information on how to set your pricing, and you're going to walk away with accountability. When are you going to change your pricing? How are you going to notify your clients? How are you going to make sure that it's seamless internally for your team? And you're going to have clarity. Where am I going? Where am I now? What are my numbers? And where am I going? That is also the benefit of the CEO room. Now, the last example I want to give is one of the things I know you've heard me talk about before, and it's a bottleneck. So for you, where's your bottleneck in your firm? Think about it as I sip my tea. Are you a bottleneck in so many areas in your firm that your staff is kind of sitting there twiddling their thumbs waiting for you to move? Does it require, for you, the CEO, think about the bottleneck. Are you truly the bottleneck, or is it something else? Are you holding the task hostage at the beginning, so that people can't even move forward? Or can you give them some clarity to go ahead and do certain things at the beginning and for it to come to you on the back end? Does it require judgment versus clarity? Is this a judgment call for me? Is this something that absolutely does require me in my bar card? Or can I provide some clarity on this? Can I give some better instructions so that my team understands how to move forward without having to bring me into the decision making, because I've given you the tools necessary to make that decision, because I've given you the tools necessary to execute, because I have delegated right, which means that I have done it with intentionality. I've told you what I needed, and I've told you how to do it. I've made it clear, I've created the Loom video. I have the structure for you so that you can be successful, so that when you're going through your process team member, when you're going through your process paralegal, when you're going through your process administrator, then you know exactly what to do and you know what good looks like. This is good. If I do this, this is good. If I do this, then I have done what has been expected of me by the supervising attorney. And now I don't have to bring the attorney in at the beginning. I can go through my entire process. I can get the task done, and I can bring it to the attorney for clarity, or bring it to the attorney for review, I should say, so that they can say, okay, yep, this is good, sign off on it, and we move on. This is also how you prevent boomerang tasks. And when you think about your boomerang task, is it a failure on the part of your staff, or are your instructions just trash? Like, be real with yourself. Did you tell them something to do so quickly without any clarity, and then they walked away scared to ask you a question? Are they scared to ask you a question? You come in and you don't even speak to your staff, and you go to your office and you close the door, and they feel like if they come to ask you a question about anything that they're going to be berated and disrespected, then you can almost be for certain and for sure that they're not going to come to you. And you're going to have boomerang tasks. You're going to give them something. They're going to take it because they're probably scared of you. They're going to do what they can, but it's going to come right back to your lap because they don't have clarity. They don't understand what they need to do. It has not been delegated to them with intentionality. They don't understand what their parameters are. How far can I go? What do I need to decide on my own? What do I need to bring to the attorney? So instead of making a mistake, I'm just going to bring it right back to the attorney, put it right back in their lap. Boomerang. They came right back to you. You sent it out, and it came right back to you because you did not provide any clarity, because your clarity or your instructions were trash. And you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to just set some time and look at it like, okay, this is something that continues to keep coming back to me. It continues to come back to my desk, and it's a question that I'm continuing to get. Look at your instructions, and then look at your people. Look at the system, and then look at your people. If you have laid out some very clear instructions, not just based on you, this is also a CEO clarity moment, a CEO room moment. This is an issue that I'm having, and my staff keeps bringing this to me. Here's the instruction that I gave them. Does this make sense? Because for me, it does. But for the rest of the world, it could be trash. Like, I don't know another way to say it. It could be trash. And you have to be okay with that the way that you receive information is not the way that others receive it. So tweak it so that your team can be successful. That's all I'm saying, is just to tweak it to make sure that the task does not come back to you. This is the part of delegation that, when we talk about truly delegation and not just offloading tasks, is that we're giving true instructions, that we're making it clear, and we're setting our staff up for success. We're making sure that they know exactly what good looks like. What does it look like to complete this? What does it look like to actually do what I've asked you to do, right? In the way that I've asked you to do it. Is it a template? Do you need a template? That's fine. Let me create a template for you. And let me give this to you with some clear instructions so that you know how to perform your task well, so that I can focus over here on the CEO level things, the bar card things that truly need my attention, versus having to split my time and getting nothing done or doing nothing well. So the cheat code. It's time for the cheat code. But first, I want you to think about this week the decisions that you're making. And I want you to identify a decision that you need to make for your firm, whether that is a firm decision or a decision regarding a case. It's a big case that's been on your mind. Whatever's going to give you a little piece of peace if this decision is made, that's all I want you to identify and write it down. I want you to write the facts, not the emotions. I love you, but we don't care about how you feel about it. Write the facts of that decision. What are the absolute facts that I need to have clear on? I need to be clear on when I am making this decision. What are the relevant facts? And then I want you to think about the relevant numbers. Not all the numbers. There are a lot of numbers that may go into play, but what are the relevant numbers when it comes to this particular decision? And write that down. Write down the facts, write down the relevant numbers. And then I want you to think about and look at this and say, does this require a bar card? Does this require my bar card, to make this particular decision? And I want you to think about that holistically, whether you are the one bar card in the firm or there's other bar cards, right? So if you have an associate or several associates at your firm, wonderful. Is this a decision that those bar cards should be making? Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but make it clear, and not just make it clear for you, but you're going to make it clear for your firm and for your team. And then I want you to create the rule. Create the if X, then Y. If this happens, this is what you need to do in response. And this is the question, and this is the issue, this is how you handle that. So in X, then Y, and write it down. And when I say write, I'm not necessarily saying pen and paper. Type it down, Loom video, whatever it is, just make sure that it is it's memorialized in some way so that your team can then take that and run. Now they understand how to move forward. They understand where to go. They understand what to do, right? So you have all of that created, then submit that to a pressure test with another CEO. And maybe you're like, I don't know a CEO that I can trust, or I'm a little hesitant about trusting someone with what this is, with this information. I'll help you. Text me. You can text me right now and say, hey, I watched this video and this is the decision. Here are my facts. Here are my numbers. I need a pressure test for this. And I will give you some feedback. Here's my number, 713-834-7111. Text me right now. I will help you because I want to make sure that you know that you are not alone, that you got to get out of your mind, right? That you don't have to make decisions in that vacuum. You don't have to be in isolation. You don't have to be an island. I am here to help you, and so many other attorneys are here to help you and to help you grow your firm and to be a dynamic, wonderful attorney that you already are. So submit that to a pressure test, whether it's me via a text or whether it is someone else, another CEO, and listen for the feedback. And then the final decision is yours. Create some instructions, and then you need to track that. What does it look like in the next 30 days after I make this decision? I need to track and see 30 days later, has this boomerang test come back to me, or have I only gotten it back a couple of times? And now you can tweak your instructions based on the feedback that you're getting, because now, like, I've given you instructions, I've put it through the pressure test. It only came back to me twice, but it came back to me twice in these instances. Now I can provide further clarity to my team, and now I can move that out of the way. That's handled, that's done. Let's move on to the next thing. Cool, child. Okay, now here's the cheat code. This is what you need to do with whatever decision that you're going to make. The first thing you have to do is identify the problem. What is the decision? What is the problem that I'm having? What is the boomerang task? What's the issue that I'm seeing in my firm? What is the problem that needs to be solved, whether that's intake or conversions or whatever it is? What is the problem that you have? And then you need to identify your numbers, the relevant numbers that you're going to look at. This is number two. One is the problem. Number two is your numbers. What is the cost of this problem? What is the cost of me not fixing it? What is the cost to actually fix it? And not just the financial cost, but the cost in your peace. Remember, this is the Attorney Cheat Code. We are talking about fast tracking our way to profitable firm ownership to create the firm of our dreams so that we can have the life of our dreams. We want to be on a beach in Maui and not be concerned about what's going on at the firm because we put in proper processes and protocols. So what is the cost to my peace, of my vacation time, of not resolving this issue? And is it an urgent issue, or is this something that needs to be handled next month because I have more pressing issues? Is this going to move the needle for the firm if I handle this within the next 30 days? Or is there something else that's going to make more of an impact? When you're an attorney, and especially when you're the CEO, it can feel like everything is urgent. That's also where your CEO pressure test comes into play. You may say, I don't even know what to hit first. This is the decision. What do I focus on first? And you bring that to your team. You bring that to your cohort. You bring it to me via text. I told you, text me if you want to. You bring it to me and you say, look, these are the 5 areas that I need to focus on, and I don't know which one is more urgent. And I need some help to sort through this so that I can really focus. Here's the problem. Here are the numbers. Number 2 is your numbers. And then number 3, of course, is bar card. Does this require a bar card to make the decision? Or is it something that my team can do on their own? Does it require my bar card to make this decision? Or can my associates handle this? Can my co-counsel handle this decision? Because yes, it's important. And yes, it requires a bar card, but it does not necessarily require mine. So 1, you're going to identify the problem. 2, you're going to identify your numbers. And then 3, you have to identify, is this a bar card issue? And then 4, after you've done that, then you have to determine, Can I make it a template? Is there an SOP I can put in place? Is there a Loom video that I can create? Is there an office protocol that I can send out via memo so that we're all on the same page? And once you have decided that, then make the template, make the operating procedure, make the office protocol, create the memo and send it out. And then don't just send it out. Ooh, another cheat code. Do not send it out and assume that people are going to read it and understand exactly what you're saying. Send it out with a notice that we're having a stand-up meeting at such and such time for such and such length of time about this particular memo, so that you can ask questions and I can provide clarity. Because you can't just send it out and assume that people know what you meant when you sent it out. So send out the memo with the meeting attached to it. We're going to meet about this. Read this memo before you come. Get some questions if you have them. Write them down so that in the meeting, I provide clarity and we move forward. So 1, you have your problem. 2, you have your numbers. 3, you've identified if a bar card, and specifically is your bar card needed for this. 4, you have created a template, an SOP, an office procedure, a memo. And then 5, you got to track it. With anything you're doing, you have to track it. If you send that memo out on February the 1st, then you now need to look at March 1st. Okay, we're going to track and we're going to see how did we progress with this particular issue, with this particular subject matter, whatever this thing is. How did we get from point A to point B? Are we still stuck at point A? And if so, is that a people issue? Is that a process issue? Is it a systems issue? You have to be real with yourself and real with your firm. And that is the cheat code to making progress. Think about it. If you really, truly focus on that and you can communicate that well to your team, for the next 30 days, here's our focus. Here's the memo. This is the expectation. Here's the Loom video to show you what to do. Here's a template to show you what it looks like. And in 30 days, I want to be able to see the progress of where everyone is now to where we're going to be. And then the next 30 days, you say, hey, here's our new focus. We have 12 months in every year. Think about where you and your firm are going to be. Now we're good because we're claiming it right now. Think about where your firm is going to be when you start to focus. And it doesn't have to be the first of the month. Don't get stuck on that crap. It does not have to be that. It could be the 17th day of the month. So every 17th day of the month, you're going to do another check-in about where are we, how have we progressed, and what's next. Now your team can feel some momentum. Now they can say, okay, yeah, you sent out a memo and you tracked it and we're doing good and you rewarded us. Maybe you reward them with a lunch. Maybe y'all go out for some fun. You do an escape room or something like that. Whatever, make it fun, right? So that everyone has a buy-in. And then every 30 days, you're checking in and you're growing and you're progressing and you're checking in with your CEO circle and they're helping you to pressure test and get out of your brain and get out of your way so that you can service clients in the way that you want to service them, so that you can provide good representation, so that we can help to reshape our legal industry, so that people don't look at attorneys like shysters, but they look at us like what they're supposed to, that we are here to help, that we are attorneys and counselors at law. God did not give you this vision for you to carry alone. You need support staff, but you as a CEO, you also need the camaraderie of other attorneys that are doing it in the same way, that are growing and that want to be in a CEO room. And we are going to talk more about that later on. But I am excited for you. Like, I don't know if you can tell, like, I am super excited for where you're going to be. Like I said, text me, 713-834-7111. Text me so I can help you. Let's grow together. We do not have to be crabs in a barrel. We can all be successful. Let me tell you what's happening, right? Just in case you didn't know, people are still getting divorced. People are still committing crimes. There are still malpractice for medical people. There are still doctors that are not doing what they're supposed to. There are still people that are creating businesses that need LLC formations, that are trusts that are still being created. People die every minute of every day, and there's probate that has to be done. There is administration that has to be done. There are legacies that have to be created. What part will you play in making sure not that just you create a legacy and that your firm grows, but that you've helped someone else along the way? I am Alicia Jones, and this is the Attorney CheatCode Podcast. I will see you next time.